The TNW Firearms Aero Assault Pistol. Let's check it out. TNW Firearms has been in business since the early 90s, and they really got their start producing MG34s and M2 Brownings. These were replica firearms, semi-automatic, but they were really into a lot of the parts. In fact, you can still get parts for those, and they still make those as well. They developed the Aero Survival Pistol and Aero Survival Rifle. We have this pistol here, which is also known as the ASP, or what I like to call it, an ASP. This is a blowback design 9mm. It's different than a lot of the small little, what I call PDW firearms out on the market. Now, one of the big appeals of this is the barrel does come off fairly easily, and I'll show you that in a minute. But also they make a number of different caliber conversions that are very easy to convert this firearm into 10mm, 45, 40, even 460 Roland and 22 long rifle. Now, TNW Firearms got in touch with me and asked if I would be willing to take a look at their ASP. And definitely when they said Aero Survival Pistol, I said, I'm in. Guys, we're seeing a lot of rifle designs that are configured into pistols. There's so many different ones out on the market, and as I've said 1,000 times, we live in the golden age of firearms. A lot of times these guns are just incremental changes to existing designs. So one of the things I really like about the TNW Aero Survival Rifle and Pistol, this is a really cool design, and I love seeing something different. Now, TNW introduced their Aero Survival Rifle back in 2012, and then soon after their pistol. And they're based out of the Northwest in Vernonia, Oregon. Of course, we want to make sure the gun is unloaded. We're going to drop our magazine, bring back our bolt. We can lock it into this position. And of course, the gun is clear. I really like this feature. Now, it does not hold open on the last round. It is just a standard blowback design. But with this lockout feature, I can set my bolt, and then when I'm ready, I can just hit it. Very similar to the HK style. Of course, this is in a different location, but this just brings it back. It is a little bit stiff. You do have a spring coming back, just like in your AR-15. And it does use the standard AR-15 buffer tube and castle nut, and you can fit it onto this pistol. Or, again, rifle. Now, this does take Glock Mags, but they include an SGM tactical mag. This is a 30-round mag. I've used these a number of times, and they work great, so no problem with that. But your standard G19 mag will go right in there, and your G26 mag. And the charging handle is contoured, so it's really easy to grab. It's rounded off, so there's not really any sharp edges. And all throughout the firearm, there's not a lot of edges. I mean, it's really comfortable to carry and handle. Now, your magazine release button's right here, and actually it's fairly intuitive to use. I thought it was kind of different at first, but it's definitely no problem. You have a cross bolt safety, which again, these are just differences that have worked with a lot of other firearms, but we're so used to the AR-15, we kind of compare everything to it. But there's definitely a lot of great choices out there. Both receivers are aluminum, and they have a really nice hard anodized finish on them. I mean, this green, to me, it just looks beautiful. It does come in a number of different colors. I think FDE and black and a gray, and then also like a tiger stripe, and then a pink variegated stripe or something, you know, so there's some different colors. They do have different places where you can mount Picatinny rails. Here on the handguard, right here on either side of the receiver. These are the screw-in types, and I'm sure they're probably available on the TNW Firearms website. Now, your grips can be interchanged with any AR-15 style grip. This is a Defiance grip. It does have some texturing, but it's really smooth. And I guess you could do some texturing there if you wanted to. It does have your standard buffer tube, castle nut, and then the SB Tactical SOB brace. One of the things about this brace though, and I'm just going to tell you up front, is they do shift a little bit. And I'm sure there's a way to be able to get that to lock that in, but that's one of the things I noticed. But I'm really a big fan of SB Tactical. I mean, I really like their brace designs. We have a large Picatinny rail section all along the top of the receiver and then here on the handguard. That's one of the things I really like about this firearm is the handguard. It is a different color, as you see. Some of the rifles do not have a handguard. You can get different ones for it. But what's really cool about this handguard, other than it just looking great, right here you have a little lever and you can turn it and you can actually take this handguard off just by twisting it. And not only does it take the handguard off, it removes the barrel. So this is a really compact firearm. And because you can take this off, now you do have the brace, but that still makes that really nice, handy, compact, and one of the big reasons why they call it the survival rifle or the survival pistol. And I'm going to probably call it rifle a number of times just because they do make the rifle as well. Now the barrel can be separated from the handguard. We're not going to do it, but it is attached. There's probably just another step right here that's holding it into place. But here you can see the chamber, and Lord knows we need to clean it. We've shot a lot. We've had this for quite a while, as I've talked about, and we have shot it a lot. I have not cleaned it yet, but it just really ran great. Here we have a threaded barrel. Now, one of the things that TNW says is if you're wanting this for a suppressor, you can order that directly from the company, and they'll actually make a barrel with an adaptable suppressor mount. But look at the finish on this handguard. I mean, it's just all the way through this firearm. It's very well executed, very well finished. To put the barrel back on, just screw it in until it finally catches on that Picatinny rail. Once this latch interferes with continuing, just go ahead and push your latch forward, get it past the rail, and then it'll lock into place just like that. And you're done. I mean, it is set in the right position. We're going to make sure the gun is clear. Let's check the trigger. And when it comes to the trigger, we have some play right here. And then it kind of has some resistance. It's kind of strange. And then we have a break. It's a little bit of a mushy break. Reset. Right there. So not a really short reset and then back on it. Trigger is really thin and it's, you know, I'm not a huge fan of the trigger, but it works. I mean, it does fine. Okay, we're going to check our trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. 3 pounds 11.4 ounces. 3 pounds 15.1 ounces. I could tell that it was under the 4-pound mark. I mean, it is pretty light, but not super light. Now, as far as the trigger goes, this is not an AR-15 style trigger. You have your pins here, and they're captured back here with little E-clips. But these are for anti-walk, and so they'll stay in place. And then, of course, that's your safety. Now, as you see, it does have an ejection port on the opposite side. You can switch out your extractor, and you can have it to eject off this side, especially if you're left-handed. I know there were some guys shooting it that were right-handed with it ejecting here, and they did feel some blowback. Then we have a little pin here that holds your back plate in place and keeps it aligned. And the front of the mag well is contoured. Of course, one piece for the trigger guard. I mean, guys, it's just a beautiful finish on this firearm. All right, I want to thank Fiocchi for sponsoring the 9mm 115 grain full metal jacket, all made here in the USA. All I'm lacking is my Lula. And these are some of the SGM magazines. We also have some ETS and standard Glock Mags. And when I say standard, I mean fun sticks, 33 rounders. Woo! Now when it comes to the range, all I can say is this is a lot of fun. I mean, it's compact, it's light, it's blowback, which gives it a little bit of recoil, but the bolt in here is really heavy. It really stays on track. We've had a lot of fun with this firearm. Of course, with the SB Tactical brace, it makes it nice to be able to shoot it and to enjoy it as a pistol, and then yet it gives you a little something to brace for, you know, your 3 points. There's a little bit of a different manual of arms, taking out the magazines with this little side button, but guys, it's very intuitive. I mean, once you start messing with it, it's very easy to get a hold of. The safety, of course, is the cross bolt safety, but really other than that, it's just a lot of fun to take to the range. And again, with the breakdown feature, I mean, you can pack this away and just put it with those Glock Mags if you happen to be carrying a Glock and you have a compatible firearm to go with it with extra magazines. Now we're using one of the SIG Romeo 4s, so we're just using a red dot at 50 yards, and so, you know, accuracy was not bad. This is one of the first groups just to get on paper. We had already been shooting it quite a bit, and then so we just kind of tightened down, and that was our group. Unfortunately, the camera was off to capture these shots, but you can see it was just one jagged hole. And we were using Fiocchi 115 grain full metal jacket, easy to see targets. Unfortunately, this target got a little stained. Now we're going to disassemble the firearm. Here on the left side, you have two pins here and here. They come out fairly easy, but just push them with a punch, just like that. They're not captive, so they'll come out. Now the bolt is open, and let's go ahead and close our bolt, and now we can pull off, or it'll drop off, the lower receiver. Again, very well finished. Here is your hammer, and of course your fire control ejector. And so this is just, again, not compatible with your AR-15, but it does take a lot of cues from it. You have two retaining holes right here for your upper receiver, and so these just mate, and then the pins cross through and then hold it into place. One thing I will say is they have a number of conversion kits that you can get. This is 9mm, but you can get 40, 45, 22, 357 SIG, even 460 Roland. So, I mean, there's a number of different calibers. And, of course, you can go to the TNW website and check that out. We're going to go ahead and bring back our bolt, hit that lever again, and then go ahead and take off your barrel. Now we're going to let our bolt go forward, and because there's no barrel there, it pushes a little bit far. Take a wood dowel or whatever and just push a little bit back on your bolt so you can pull out your charging handle. Right there. And then you just let it go very slowly. It is under spring tension. Then we can bring our bolt right out. Guys, that is one solid piece of steel right there. Here's the bolt face with the extractor. But again, it is blowback. This is your firing pin retaining pin, and we're not going to pull all that out, but you know, it's really simple to do. The buffer and the spring come forward, but then they stop on a pin right here at the top. And guys, that's all you need to do to field strip, just in reverse order. Just make sure you have that bolt going in the right direction or it won't fit. Bring in our dowel rod and line up that hole with your charging handle. Go ahead and pull back on your charging handle, or you won't be able to put your barrel in because it'll rest on that spring, get spring tension. And again, that little latch is right here. Just pull it up and it snaps right into place. Next, drop your bolt and put on your lower receiver. It's really fairly easy to do, and these pins just fit in perfectly. And we're good to go. Now the weight on the Aero Survival Pistol, 6 pounds, 4.4 ounces. That's with the magazine. And the overall length is 25 inches. And again, the barrel is 10 1/4 of an inch. These I think retail for like $7.99, and in the pistol form, and a lot has to do with the SP Tactical brace, these run about $6.50. If you're looking for one without the brace and just the buffer tube, they're about $5.50. Now, some of the advantages and disadvantages of why I would or wouldn't pick up this as one of my PDWs, which I like to call it that pistol caliber, and yet it's a pistol form with a brace. And this also applies if this was a rifle. One of the big pluses for this is the ease of taking off the barrel and being able to make this a much more compact package. I think also a big advantage is all the different caliber conversions. I mean, there's a whole ton of them like we've talked about, and they all take Glock Mags, and which is also a huge plus. Now, there's a lot of other companies that do have the Glock Mags, but with the solid Picatinny rail on top, I mean, the workmanship and the finish and the craftsmanship just seem to be top-notch. And so that, to me, is a big plus. It's already threaded barrel, and so you've got a lot of advantages just with that in itself. Of course it is with the pistol brace, and having an AR-15 buffer tube, you can switch this out if you want, put something different on there. Easy to mount an optic, no problem. There's no sights, iron sights, but you can add those without too much trouble. Some of the disadvantages are that it's just a different design. There's some things about the mag release and the safety that are a little different. And if you really are ingrained in a manual of arms, sometimes that can be a problem. But a lot of times guys buy these just to take them out, have fun with them, and you start to learn how these work. I think another disadvantage would be it doesn't accept different type triggers. The trigger in itself is not the best, and there's not really anything else you can do. I mean, you're pretty much set with that trigger. It's still doable for what this firearm was designed for. You're not trying to get match grade accuracy, but I like a good trigger. As far as my personal feelings about the firearm, I really like it. I liked it as soon as I pulled it out of the box. I just like the design of it. It was so smooth and very easy to handle. Took me a little time to get used to some of the controls, but not that much. I mean, it's fairly easy. The mag release is really easy to start to get used to. Cross bolt safety, I mean, we've been using these things for 150 years. So I think overall I love this. I'm going to keep it. I think it's a great firearm. That's just my personal thing. Now whether it's good for you, that's up to you, but as far as I'm concerned, I really like the TNW ASP or ASP. It's a snake. And again, I want to thank TNW Firearms for sending the ASP for this test and evaluation. Aero survival pistol. This is definitely something for backpacks. You can put this in a bug out bag, definitely a vehicle. If you're a bush pilot, this would be great. And so there's a lot of places where you have a really small compact 9mm that possibly takes Glock Mags is a win-win. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Of course, you can take your standard Glock Mags. This is a G19 mag. Of course, you can take your... Woo! The anodizing on here is just excellent. I don't want to skip to that. Now, that's one of the things I really like about this. Mr. Grouch.
Yeah.
Is this the same place? Is different?
That's such a cool little